Craig Chandler and Carrie Ocasco. Do either of those names sound familiar to you? Probably not, but I'm pretty sure Trayvon Martin or Oscar Grant are a little bit more triggering. The first two names that I stated are police officers who died in the line of duty, and the latter two names are two black male individuals who were killed by white police officers. I'm talking about police brutality in America. How we see it today. First of all, police brutality and how policemen kill blacks is blown way out of proportion in our country today, and oftentimes police officers aren't portrayed as the heroes that they truly are. I want to give you the definition of police brutality, as it confused me starting off when all of this police brutality happened. I always related the police officers killing black people, so I always correlated police officers and a racial issue together as police brutality. That is not completely the case. Police brutality is a violation of civil rights, and it is violence against civilians, whether it is either physical or verbal. Police brutality in America, I believe, is a smokescreen to bigger and better issues that we could be tackling, but we're running after here, or chasing rabbits, as I like to say. So with social media plastering the Black Lives Matter movements, playing on percentages, and pretty much just showing us what they want us to see, blinded us from the real matter. The real issues that we are encountering are lone parenting and poverty or low income, as well as violence amongst the youth and the black community. My name is Katora Walking Stick, and police brutality is not what it seems in America. So let's talk about the facts behind police-related deaths. Justin Feldman and a few others did an article that confirmed that police-related deaths are most common in low-income areas or neighborhoods. To measure these deaths, they looked at economics, neighborhoods, race, and ethnicity. If you think about it, it makes sense. If you go to a doctor, you just don't sit there and say you have a problem. They diagnose you and then give you a prescription. That is not realistic. That's not how it works. If you feel like something is wrong and you go to the doctor, you conversate with your doctor. They run tests, they take your vitals, they may even do screenings or draw blood. Then they come with a diagnosis, and then they give you your prescription. Same with this. We have to look at all factors, not just one. So in this study, it showed that from 2015 to 2016, and this information was provided from the U.S. Census and Department of Health, they stated that from 2015 to 2016, 2,119 police-related deaths were in total between that time frame. Out of that number, 62% were whites, 13% were blacks, 18% Hispanic, and 7% other. Out of the 2,119, 42% of them lived in high poverty neighborhoods or areas. Digging a little deeper into poverty and the desperation that it brings, R. Fry referenced poverty in lone parenting or single parenting. Lone parents or single parents are more susceptible to living in poverty. The U.S. Census Bureau stated that between 2012 and 2013, amongst all the single parents in America, 82% were single mothers and 18% were single fathers. Out of that 82% of the mothers, 48% of those were whites, 26% were blacks, 21% Hispanics, and 5% other. Poverty was becoming to hinder education and job opportunities naturally, and created a culture of poverty, which is what leads us to the next area of my speech. So if most of the single parents are mothers, that means that, of course, if they're more likely to live in poverty, it brings out the feminization of poverty trend, which is another big issue. With single mothers in poverty, there are less job opportunities, and they don't really get the greatest education, which creates a culture of poverty. Now, what is the culture of poverty? It is simply the poor accepting their fate. They're being dealt the hand of cards that they were given at birth, so why should they even try to get out of this hole? So with this, of course, children usually follow suit when the culture of poverty takes hold, and it goes down from generation to generation, creating a snowball effect. So poverty in low-income communities are huge issues that police brutality is masking. The next step, or the next issue, is violence. Due to the violence amongst our youth in the U.S. Surgeon General did a psychological test against adolescent males. So in this test, they took 77 low-income, urban, adolescent, African-American males. That took a lot to get down, so I'm very proud of myself. Amongst this sample in this project, 87% of those have witnessed some kind of violence or experienced some kind of violence within their lifetime, whether it was either gang violence, domestic violence, or school shootings. Study also proved that the violence in these males created a PTSD and depressive-like symptoms in these adolescent males, and that most adolescent males would victimize other adolescent males. So violence against each other and not necessarily with the police officers. A lot of these crimes also happen in high crime rated cities like Brooklyn, New York, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This prompted the need for law enforcement, of course, so policemen would be around these areas with high crime rates and statistically had a lot of minorities living here, which made it look like police officers were targeting the minorities or blacks or Hispanics, when that was not the case. So again, violence and the culture of poverty, as well as low-income neighborhoods, are big issues that we need to look at here in America. Now, in relation to where I come into all this and why I decided to talk about this. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people were thinking or wondering why a black girl is covering this issue the way she is. Well, first of all, my connection to my husband, who is a military police officer, and then my brother, who is a police officer as well, have told me a lot of stories and things that they have encountered as police officers, and they go through a lot, guys. I wish I had enough time to tell you about it, but just please take my word for it or talk to a police officer that you may know or that's somebody that you may encounter. I always wondered if this was truly an issue because I never personally experienced it. Doesn't mean that it's true. Police brutality is still a thing, but based off my findings, it is not necessarily to the magnitude that media portrays it to be. But my encounters with police officers, I don't want to say they were great because of course nobody wants to be stopped by a police, but I have an issue with speeding. I like getting places on time and fast, so I've been stopped quite a few times but only had one ticket so far. So I've actually done pretty good to be 24. But every police officer that I have encountered has been very nice. Or I did have a few stern police officers, but it makes sense because I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So in these encounters, of course, I was very respectful, never disrespected them, and I was very obedient. I often see, even in shows like the All-American, I believe it is, they're back talking to police officers or they're moving around when you need to be very open, honest, calm, and respectful. So my conclusion to this speech is that, of course, low income or poverty, lone parenting, and violence ultimately are the issues in America that police brutality is masked and police officers are just drug into because they're trying to protect us. You also definitely need to look at all factors and not just racism or ethnicity. You have to look at every area of these police-related deaths to get factual evidence. So again, Police brutality in America is not what it seems. My name is Couture Walking Stick, and I would hope that you do your own research like I did, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me.